Hello, my friends. It's good to be with you again today, albeit virtually. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you are enjoying being with your Westside community this Sunday morning. Now, I don't have to tell you there are a lot of things going on these days, bad things, things that we worry about, and things that need bold action. When we keep up with the news on television, when we read the news in newspapers or online from sources we trust, there are a lot of things that seem to be going wrong right now. And one of the things I read about and worry about is how our libraries have come under attack. Now, this isn't new. Books, it seems to me, are one of the first targets when societies begin to tilt in a regressive way. Books often represent the learned, the elite, but they also contain within them ideas some people believe ought to be controlled. These ideas should not be consumed by others, and these ideas most often go against their own religious ideology. They believe books can change you, that reading and learning about the experiences of people who are like you and people who are different from you can affect the way one thinks. And as much as it pains me to agree with anything these people say, I also believe books have the power to change us. Books are magical, and depending on what you read, books have the potential to change your entire worldview. I've experienced it myself in that I'm a very different person than I would have been without books, both through guided study in the classroom and through independent study from my own curiosity. The things I believe today are quite different from what I believed when I was young. And that curiosity began in the library. That's where my love for books began. When I was young, my mother used to take me and my two sisters to the library. We could roam the stacks of books for a full 30 minutes before Mom would tell us to gather up what we wanted. It was time to go. We'd be back the next week and do it all over again. In high school, one of my most memorable assignments was to visit a library of my choosing. I wound up at the library of what is now Southwestern Adventist University in Keene, Texas. The librarian I spoke with there loved that I had visited their library and was very helpful in answering my questions for the assignment. And in all my academic pursuits, from bachelor's to doctoral degrees, my institutional library has been the place where I would go most often to study and collect my thoughts. And, of course, to retrieve books and journal articles that helped me with my own research. At one point, while in divinity school in Nashville, Tennessee, I volunteered at a small theological library that offered me an apartment while I attended school. My father, though never serving as a librarian other than a required internship at Tarrant County College, earned a master's degree in library science from Texas Woman's University. He couldn't imagine a better place to earn a living than helping people find the information they were looking for. One of the first things I did when moving to Illinois was to get a local library card. And today, Gail and I are members of the Friends of the Library of our local library community. We do this for the love of libraries, because libraries are special places. But as some of us appreciate the diversity of opinions that can come from reading books, there are others who believe that banning books from local libraries to be the solution to many of our society's ills. And I don't have to tell you, as you're likely are already aware, that many of our school libraries and public libraries around the country are being targeted by people and groups who believe they are the arbiters of morality. that if something they read offends their sensibilities, then no one else should have access to that book. And for some time now, these book banners have understood that activism at the local level will see the most drastic results. They have witnessed how open and accommodating librarians are. They can help you find almost any book on almost any topic, and they will do so without judgment, believing access to knowledge is a fundamental right in today's world. School librarians can be involved in and play a role in our young people's lives, just as any other good educator can. This is a true story I read from a school librarian. The person wrote, "In real life, my first name is Chris. I'm a librarian at a school that teaches English as a second language. Several years ago, we used to have a newsletter that our students would submit articles to for publication. On one occasion, a student interviewed me for an article, and the topic was living together before marriage. Basically, throughout the interview, I stated my opinion that I thought it was acceptable to live together before marriage, that I thought it was sometimes even a good idea so that people could get to know whether they wanted to spend their entire lives together, and that living together before marriage often helped with household finances as the two people could share expenses and furniture and kitchen items. When the newsletter was published, I discovered a learning pattern. Apparently, in the student's first language, adding a voiceless consonant to the end of a person's name is common. As a result, the written article referred to me as Christ rather than Chris. Imagine my surprise when I read, 'Christ approves of living together before marriage.'" The 3 states witnessing the most book challenges offer little surprise. Florida is number 1 in the banning of books. Iowa, one of our nation's least diverse states, is number 2 in the banning of books. And dear old Texas is number 3 from what I have read. Now, I've also been reading a book titled That Librarian: The Fight Against Book Banning in America by Amanda Jones. You know where I found the book? That's right, my local library. Jones is a school librarian in Louisiana. She works in the middle school she attended as a child in a small town just about 20 miles from Baton Rouge. She loves her job and loves the students she helps. With long roots in the community, she knows generations of the same family where she comes into contact with brothers and sisters, moms and dads, aunts and uncles and grandparents. A couple of years ago, she got wind that a local library board member was going to bring up some books she believed were inappropriate to be in their public library. Amanda Jones went to that board meeting and spoke out against censorship. The vitriol she experienced from her community surprised her. She spoke out about censorship in the public library, but a group of people decided she was not fit to work with children as a school librarian, and they came after her, calling her a pedophile and a professional groomer of children. They leveraged their messaging through social media, and more people joined in on the bullying. She fought back, taking the leaders of the group to court for defamation. She lost the case and is now appealing the decision. But the thing that hurt her most was seeing the comments on social media of people she knew well and who knew Amanda well, who nonetheless joined in on the harassment. Jones is an award-winning school librarian and has been elected as president of Louisiana's Professional School Library Association. She knows what she's doing, and understands the role of libraries in a community. But the sense of betrayal from her hometown was enormous. Amanda Jones had served that community for 20 plus years, and this was how she was being repaid. She had never felt so isolated than after defending the freedom to read freely. The harassment became so severe that Amanda took medical leave for an entire semester in order to regain her physical and mental health. I've also recently read a book titled Palaces for the People: How Social Infrastructure Can Help Fight Inequality, Polarization, and Decline of Civic Life by Eric Kleinenberg. The phrase, palaces for the people, was coined by Andrew Carnegie when referring to public libraries. Carnegie also believed libraries could be magical places, and he would provide initial funding for building local libraries if the local government would provide the land and the upkeep. He would build over 2,500 libraries worldwide and over 1,600 libraries in the United States. In 1899, he gave Fort Worth, Texas, $50,000 to build its library. That $50,000 is equivalent to almost $2 million in today's money. By the way, I found the book written by Eric Kleinenberg in my local library. Kleinenberg is a professor of sociology at New York University, and in his book explains the concept of social infrastructure as the physical spaces and organizations that bring people together, like libraries, parks, community centers, childcare centers, playgrounds, community gardens, and churches. Born in Chicago, one of Kleinenberg's first academic projects was to study the 1995 Chicago heat wave. The heat wave went on for 5 days, with temperatures well into the triple digits. 739 people would die, making it the deadliest weather event in the city's history. For comparison, it is estimated that the Great Chicago Fire killed about 300 people. He examined 2 different Chicago neighborhoods with very similar demographics, but one neighborhood had 3 times as many deaths as the other during the heat wave. And he found that the neighborhood with fewer deaths had many more pieces of social infrastructure. These parks and playgrounds, community centers, churches, and libraries had people looking out for one another at a much higher rate than the neighborhood that experienced much more death. Libraries are magical, and they can be lifesavers, both literally and metaphorically. You and I know there is a great deal to worry about these days, even more so in Texas. I believe we need to worry about libraries. Just as public radio and television are being defunded, there may well come a time when our public libraries will no longer receive governmental support. This morning, I'm just going to suggest you do 2 things. First, go to the website, United Against Book Bans. Its address is simply unitedagainstbookbans.org, and click on the link that says Join the Campaign. It costs no money, but they will inform you of what is going on with book bans, both nationally and locally. I'd also like to suggest, if you ever get the chance, to watch the documentary titled Judy Blume Forever. Blume is credited as one of the most banned authors in our time. She wrote books where young people were able to see themselves and see themselves as normal, particularly in terms of their sexuality. It is estimated that Judy Blume has sold over 90 million books during her writing career, and one of her most famous works, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, is one of the most banned books in our country. Should you watch the documentary, I believe you will be captivated by her story and amazed at the lengths she went to connect with some of her readers, and also the courage she has exhibited in speaking out against censorship. If you are unable to find the website or the documentary, you might try asking your local librarian for help. They will be glad to assist you and will likely be proud to know that you are a supporter and an ally for the love of libraries. As we rise together in body or spirit and join in the singing of our closing hymn number 95, There Is More Love Somewhere in Your Gray Hymnal. We will sing all verses unless your song leader specifies otherwise.